What's up, hackers? Alex from MLH here with another awesome workshop at Global Hack Week. I'm really excited about this one. We have Paige Bailey from the Google Meet DeepMind team joining us. She's going to tell you about all things Google AI Studio. If you've never used AI Studio before, you're not sure what you can unlock with AI Studio, you're just wondering how you should incorporate AI into your development or day-to-day, this is the workshop for you. I know the first time I got to see Paige do this workshop, I was absolutely wowed. So let's welcome her to the stage.
For organizing this and for making space for all of these developers to learn more about AI. And I think even since that last time that we worked together, I think we've released easily like 12 or 15 different new features at Google I/O and beyond. So there's more to come and more to see.
Things are moving fast, and I'm sure I'm going to learn something here. Before we dive into it, Paige, something we both know is that hackers love swag, and so we're actually going to do a surprise swag giveaway here.
Oh, amazing!
I want you yes. I want you to think of a number between 0 and 100, but don't tell me yet. I'm going to set a timer for 30 seconds. So hackers, you're going to have 30 seconds. I'll give you a quick countdown here. You're going to let me know your number between 0 and 100. You get one guess and one guess only. Whoever gets the correct number or is closest to it will get some surprise swag from MLH. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. 30 seconds are on the clock. While we wait for that, Paige, what's your favorite piece of swag you've gotten before?
My favorite piece of swag, I have to say, at some point there was a GitHub umbrella that they would give to every new employee in the Seattle office, and I loved it because it was so utilitarian. And I used it all the time because I hate buying umbrellas, and I always had it kind of like in my backpack. But I also love a good sticker. I think some of the stickers that y'all make for each hackathon are some of the coolest swag too.
That's
I've ever
awesome.
seen. Yep.
I haven't heard about the GitHub umbrella. That's a really nice touch, I think, and very, very fitting for Seattle.
Seattle. Yep.
What was the magic number, Paige?
The magic number is 42, as always.
All right, 42 as always. I'll go through the chat here and see who our winner is. With that, I'm going to hand it off to Paige now to walk you all through AI Studio.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And today I am excited to be here to talk a little bit more about AI Studio, the Gemini APIs, and also some of the newer features that we released just recently at Google I/O. So hopefully you walk away from this knowing how to get started with all of the above, and also know a little bit about how to incorporate these great tools into your projects. So generative AI is definitely transforming everything that we do at Google, including how we build and how we release our products. And our latest flagship model is something called Gemini 2.5 Pro. This is a multimodal model, which means that it can understand videos, images, audio, text, code, all of the above all at once. But even more magical, it can also output many different modalities. So all of those things that I just mentioned, Gemini is able to natively output audio, text, code, images. It can even edit images. And you can do this all just by using one singular model, one singular kind of API call. Some examples of this would be something like a car. You give Gemini a picture of a convertible or a picture of a car and ask it to turn the car into the convertible or vice versa. You can give it a picture of a flamingo and ask for it to turn the flamingo blue or to have the flamingo wear a top hat or a tiara. And it really is just as simple as asking for those natural language changes. We've also been putting Gemini onto robots, especially our multimodal live APIs. You can have Gemini use function calling to even navigate the robot. And since it can understand video input feeds and audio, since it can generate code, you can sort of have this first couple of steps towards embodied intelligence just by using the Gemini models. I'm also a huge fan of showing, not telling. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and move over to AI Studio so we can start seeing some of these features in action. Let me go ahead and stop screen and then share a different tab. So hopefully folks see this new screen that says welcome to AI Studio. This is really the best place to get started with the Gemini models as soon as they come out. You can see here off to the right a list of models that you have access to, including 2.5 Pro Preview or Flash, dependent on where you might be in the world. You can also see our open model family, so the latest Gemma model releases, which we'll talk about in a second. And you can experiment with other kinds of features with the models themselves, things like code execution, function calling, grounding with Google search, something new called URL context, and even more. And so just to give you kind of a taste of what this feels like or what it looks like, I'm going to go ahead and click this plus sign. I'm going to find a YouTube video that might be interesting to consider. Like one of the things that has been popping into the news recently is the State of AI report for 2024. And so let's go ahead and add that in as a YouTube URL. I'm going to say to Gemini, please create a table with timestamps for all of the key sound bites in this video. Also make sure to give a brief summary of each segment of the video, and then hit run. I'm also going to make sure to turn off thinking mode for Gemini 2.5 Flash to help the model process these data a little bit faster. Even cooler, so we have this kind of environment that we're working in. We have the ability to pull in a whole bunch of different data types. So we saw recording audio, camera, YouTube videos, sample media. You can directly upload PDFs and even more file formats. But when you click this Get SDK Code button, you get all of the code that you would need to use in order to replicate whatever you just did in the UI. So it gives you these very, very clear instructions. It shows you some of the tools that you might have selected if you did select tools. It has the output from the model as it gets typed onto the screen. And you can select this in Python and TypeScript and Java, Swift, Dart, whatever you would like to create your project using. And so if I go back, you can see that there is the timestamps, a couple of brief summaries and segments. If I keep scrolling down, it looks like it's still summarizing, and it has kind of the 10 predictions for the next months. If I wanted to turn on thinking mode and like if we wanted to experiment with what our thinking budget might do in terms of this output, you can also set a thinking budget from 0 to a larger number of tokens to help sort of improve the quality and reliability of the model's output. Another feature that we just recently added in AI Studio, I'm going to bounce over to this while we wait for that video to process, is something called our build feature. And what build gives you the ability to do is you can just describe in natural language an app that you would like to see created. So as an example, you could say create a text adventure game. Using Gemini, you could say, please create a flashcard website that uses the Google search grounding API to define specific facts about a user-selected topic. Make sure to only show 20 interactive flashcards or something similar, and use Gemini to create the questions. You can also use Imagine behind the scenes to do image generation for these websites. But there's this thinking mode here off to the left. You can see all of the component parts getting kind of defined along the way. And similar to this thinking section that we see in the build quadrant, if we go back to that video understanding thing that we had looked at before and expand out to the thought section, you can also see the table with timestamps for some of the key segments and the key sound bites from the video itself. So it's pretty cool to get to watch Gemini in action as it's building out the website. You can also see over here a deploy to Cloud Run button, which gives you the ability to immediately deploy the website once it's created. There's also a share app button, which allows you to share kind of the visualization that you have for the app directly within AI Studio, and also a download button that lets you download all of the source code and the files in the correct format to use for your project. So it looks like it's still finalizing the component integration. In the interest of time, kind of baking show. Oh, there we go. So I was about to say, like, if it didn't start writing code soon, I would get a little bit nervous. But the code is getting written. You can see that it's a React app, and that as the files get generated, they also put themselves into the appropriate directory structure here in the center. So we have a components folder that just got created, a whole bunch of TypeScript files that are being generated to help us kind of accomplish the task that was described in the initial user prompt. You can see a lot of really great comments in the code as well, some design choices, some topic inputs, and a whole bunch of additional features that are incorporating the Gemini API. I think it's also quite nice to see that this sort of app building environment is using the latest generative AI SDK as well as the latest models. So it's giving you much better code generation than you would get if you were just calling the API directly or using a different code development environment. So I'm going to hide a couple of these panes. We see Fact Flash AI. So enter a topic and get 20 interactive flashcards with information grounded by Google search. And so in the interest of doing something that is relatively recent, I'm going to ask about the Sonar Music Festival in Barcelona and generate flashcards. This is top of mind for me because it's happening this week and this weekend. And one of our teams at Google DeepMind working on a product called Music FX, which is AI for music, is going to be there delivering a workshop. So it's really cool to, let's see. So AI returned data in an unexpected format, could not parse flashcard questions and answers. This is one of the other cool things about this environment, is that if you do encounter any errors, it's a one button click to automatically fix them. So you can see Gemini also thinking through some of the parsing characteristics and what might have gone wrong. It's recognizing that there needs to be a different kind of JSON parsing strategy. I think because for some of the Q&A outputs, it had some characters that were unexpected. And then as it begins experimenting with more adaptable methods, it will update the code for the app itself as well. And so I'm going to hide the preview really quick. It's thinking through of how it can do enhanced error handling. And as it's working on this, I think it might be fun to go check out another feature within AI Studio, which is the kind of real-time interactive live API. Or I spoke too soon. Like, Gemini operates too quickly for me. But it's rewriting some of the services that it had worked on before. It's recreating some of the flashcards. And then let's see if this actually ends up solving the problem. If not, we'll keep kicking the tires on auto-fixing, but after going to go look at some of the text-to-speech and the audio generation models. Amazing. So this is some flashcards were generated about the Sonar Music Festival. It shows the answers. And so I might want to specify that I want it to start with the question first as opposed to the answer. But you can generate apps, change the designs, and then if you do want to deploy, all it is to deploy is you click on Cloud Run. You have a project that you're deploying to, and you just have to click Deploy App, and it gives you a unique URL that you can share with your friends. So it's pretty cool to see how simple it is to create something and to then get it out into the world. I'm going to go ahead and go to the streaming section and show you how you can start working with the Gemini 2.5 Flash thinking dialogue model. So right now we see Talk to Gemini Live displayed on the screen, along with a few options. So you can talk, you can use your webcam, you can also share a screen. And in the interest of making this as sort of interactive and as useful as possible, I'm going to go ahead and turn on grounding with Google Search again, as well as effective dialogue, which gives Gemini the ability to adapt its response style to the input expression and tone. So if I am really happy or if I sound sad, Gemini can respond with different emotive styles to kind of address the back and forth in the conversation. It can also respond in multiple languages, which we'll take a look at in a second. You can also see some voices here off to the side. Zephyr is the default, but there's also Puck, Sharon, Korai, Finrear, lots of different voices that you can potentially select, as well as a place to specify system instructions if you would like to have specific system instructions for the model behavior. And some things that you would put in here are, as an example, only speak in German, speak in a cheerful tone, some of these things that you want the model behavior to conform to. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share one of the tabs on my screen, which is a Colab notebook. Hey, Gemini, could you tell me what you see on the screen? Amazing. So Gemini, how would I change the runtime type if I was operating in this environment?
Paige, should we hear Gemini's response right now?
Yep. Yep. So you should be hearing Gemini's response. If
I don't
I
think
zoom,
we're. I
yep,
can see where Gemini did respond. I don't think the audio is
yeah,
coming through on the stream.
gotcha.
Yeah.
So it might be that StreamYard does not have access to audio. I don't see a place where I can specify that within the settings config. But I can let me see something. If I click this, can you hear that or no?
No, that doesn't come through either. My guess is you. I don't know how it's set up either. Actually, you'd probably
Yeah,
have to leave and come back. So,
yeah.
um,
So
everyone, if you can't play around with it afterwards, I've used this pretty extensively as well, and you can literally
yeah,
have a whole conversation back and forth.
yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I would encourage folks to try is asking Gemini to speak in multiple languages. So I know that this probably won't be able to come through either, but you could say something like, hey, Gemini, say what you just said, but say it in German and sound very excited. And And it works in many different languages. I encourage you to try to see how many you can persuade Gemini to respond with. I think originally when we had the Gemini 2.0 multimodal live API, you had to specify the language for the API config, and now it's just a matter of asking or specifying in the system instructions. So it's really cool to see this come to life. And as always, if you click Get SDK code, you get all of the code that you would need in order to replicate the experiment that you just did, kind of displayed to the screen, which is pretty powerful. Another thing that we just released is called Gemini Speech Generation, which gives you the ability to have Gemini kind of create dialogue similar to what you might have heard in something like Notebook LM. This is just kind of a script builder interface, so you can see speaker 1, speaker 2, and different settings associated with each, and also some style instructions. So you can say read aloud in a warm, welcoming tone, or an angry tone, to the point, very quickly, like however you would like to specify the style. And then click Run Prompt. And it gives you kind of the interface with the audio that you've just created. Since there are the problems with the output audio, since there are problems with the output audio, I'm going to go ahead and pause this and encourage you to try it out yourself. Again, this is in the generate media section here off to the left. Another thing that you have the ability to kind of do that's pretty cool is experimenting with different musical knobs and dials. So you can kind of be a DJ using music effects to create different kinds of tones and rhythms that you can use either as background tracks or as other kinds of features. And as you experiment and play, you can see it. You can see it come to life. And all of this, again, is just kind of available natively for you to try out and to experiment with in AI Studio, which is quite cool. Structured output and function calling, I'll touch on some of these really quickly. Structured output gives you the ability to define kind of a template structure for the model to respond. And I'm going to go ahead and select one of our smaller models, Gemini 2.0 Flash, to demonstrate structured output. So as an example, you could say get city name and make it required, get country name and make it required, get landmark name and make it required, and click save, and then pull up even something like an image, add it to your prompt, and click run. And structured output will give you details about the image in a very structured format. So this is in Pisa, Italy, and it is the Leaning Tower of Pisa as an example. For code execution, this gives Gemini the ability to write, run, and then recursively fix code in a sandboxed environment. So you can have it kind of generate any Python code to solve the problem that you're thinking about. Function calling gives Gemini the ability to invoke tools. You can also use MCP servers with the Gemini APIs, including replicating deep research with LangGraph and the Gemini APIs. Grounding with Google search, we already took a look at. This gives you the ability to say something like, tell me when the Sonar Music Festival is in 2025, and also reference any musicians that will be playing. And then hit run. And usually model training data is kind of limited to when the model cutoff date was, which would have been sometime in 2024. This gives you the ability to pull in more up-to-date and recent information with things about Fortet, Bicep, Armin van Buren, and then links to sources for all of the above. And to have that pulled in as a tool call is just one line of code. So here we go, where you can see tools equals Google search. Amazing. URL context is quite cool as well. With URL context, you can kind of give Gemini a URL and ask for it to pull in information from the website in order to accomplish the tasks. So as an example, if I go and look up the function calling documentation for the Gemini APIs, so find function calling, and then I find something that might be useful to extract. So like this supported models table, I can copy the URL. I'm going to go ahead and start a new section and turn on URL context, and then say, please extract out the table for supported models from this website. And hit run. And it even saves the same emoji style, so you can barely see it, but those are check marks associated with the URL that you just pulled the context from. Cool. So in addition to all of these kind of mini features that are available through AI Studio and the Gemini APIs, we also have a number of other features and models that have been kind of made available for folks to use with Gemini. Let me go ahead and pull back up the slide deck so we can see. And it's really magical to understand that Gemini can be used for everything from image understanding to video understanding, text to speech, translation from one language to another, transcriptions, information extraction, finding data in videos, real-time conversations. You can use it to detect bounding boxes and a whole bunch more, to generate music, like all of these things for hundreds of languages. So I highly encourage you to test things out, to try it out, to see if the model can do it. There have been many, many instances where Gemini has surprised me, and it's always feels very, very magical. So, so definitely feel like you have the ability to ask it any question and to see if it can do it. We have different sizes, which we've already touched on. Pro, which is our largest, Flash, which is our next largest model, Flash Lite, which is the model that is lightest weight and optimized for kind of speed and efficiency, and also Nano, which is small enough to fit on a mobile device or to operate in a browser. I'm also going to share this slide as well, which because I swapped between, I don't think was visualized, but it truly is magical to see how many things that Gemini is able to do, all of the above all at once. Our most recent open models that were released were Gemma 3 and Gemma 3N. They are both incredibly strong for their size. Gemma 3 at 27B is about as good as DeepSeek R1 and DeepSeek V3, but you can see here down at the bottom this pale blue dot. So just one little blue dot, which is equated with an H100, as opposed to the 32 that are required to run DeepSeek R1 and DeepSeek V3. So it's very, very kind of energy efficient, GPU footprint efficient as a single accelerator model. Gemma 3N, that's chatbot arena score is coming up about at Claude 3.7 Sonnet. So it's doing extremely well. The other thing that I want to point out is that it's 4 billion parameters in size, which means that it's small enough to be embedded within a browser to run locally. And it's, again, an open model, which means that you can download it and use it for 100% free. Even cooler, this model is performing much better than our Gemini 1.5 Pro model, which was our best model 6 months ago. So just play that forward 6 months from now. You could easily imagine that the models that we have that are state of the art today are going to be in formats small enough to fit on a mobile device, such that you could use them. Locally, or even as part of your like personal Raspberry Pi projects. So this is just an ELO curve. It basically, the way to read it is just that Google is investing a lot in really, really powerful models that are also very, very efficient from a cost footprint to run, as well as from a GPU footprint and an kind of an energy footprint as well. And for that, we have a little bit more in terms of demos. So the DeepMind co-scientist is something that was released as a blog post just recently. There's also a kind of a private preview list that you can sign up for if you would like. But this gives you the ability to kind of analyze data at scale and to run lots and lots of experiments using a combination of supervisor agents and data analysis agents. So as a scientist, what you would do is you would say, this is my hypothesis. You would iterate with Gemini to kind of define some experiments that you think might make sense. And then Gemini would go off, write code, execute, generate data, or find data in order to do those experiments and report back with all of its results, which is pretty cool. My favorite thing is that when scientists were asked how much time this saved or how worthwhile it was to their research, they said that something that previously would have taken years, so on this timeline you see 2015 to 2025, about a decade, they were able to accomplish in a matter of days with the co-scientist agent. And so I'm not going to show you the co-scientist today, but I am going to show you I am going to show you something that we have in Google Colab called the data science agent. So let me hop over to my other screen and pull up the Colab data science agent, which is right over here. And please do not judge me by my number of untitled notebooks. But if you click this little Gemini box here off to the right, you can upload a data source. So I'm going to head and just upload a whole bunch of GitHub issues that I have lying around handy. It's going to kind of show here off to the right is just a CSV file within the prompt UI. And I can say something like, please do exploratory data analysis on the CSV file. Identify any common themes or patterns, and also generate some time series plots for the issues. Gemini will start thinking, it'll develop a plan, and then it should ask me for whether or not I approve of the plan. That looks pretty good. So you can see that it is going to do some data loading, some data exploration. We'll figure out if it needs to do any kind of data changes based on structure or formatting. It'll analyze the distribution of data and also create some visuals and finish the task. And so behind the scenes, hopefully what you can see here, I'm going to zoom out so it looks a little bit better. But behind the scenes, Gemini is creating the task. It's loading the data. So you can see here that it loaded the CSV file that I had just added, along with a whole bunch of insights and information about it. It's doing some basic data exploration. So it's figuring out how many missing values we have, some summary stats. And then it's also doing some data wrangling to prepare for analysis and visualization. So it's got some issues names, some user logins. It's defined a few additional features and columns to kind of help with the data analysis components. It's also giving us insights into its reasoning along the way. So it's converting some of these files, and it's created a whole bunch of time series plots, which you can see here with Seaborn, for the number of issues per month, issues per day, issues per week, and some box plots associated as well. So this is really, really powerful if you do any sort of data exploration or data visualization. I would have loved to have had this when I was doing my undergrad and graduate work. And it's really, really cool to kind of see some of the things that get created. Awesome. So heading back to that other slide deck, and this will be the final section that we talk about today, which is about a model I'm sure a lot of you are very excited about called VO3. VO3 is our video generation and also audio generation model. So you just describe the kind of prompt that you would want to have the video to be like, and it creates it behind the scenes for you. And I love this because it really does have the potential to accelerate and to really empower human communication, as well as human creativity. And the new VO models give you control over things like reference images, so you can share an image of a person and an image of a place, and VO is able to kind of couple those things together just natively. You can give a reference, just a character reference, and have the character be in a variety of scenes with varieties of lighting. You can start with a placeholder image. So you see here a woman with her dog and them kind of looking at each other knowingly. A girl in what I can only assume is Texas walking forward down a dusty main street. A woman in many different scenarios that look increasingly surreal. And then also camera controls around rotation, zooming in, zooming right, moving back, and how you can kind of have the same scene visualized in such ways. There's also the concept of outpainting, so being able to kind of go from a single kind of view and shot to being able to expand it out into what you might see if you had kind of more of a 180-degree view. You can add objects to video feeds, remove objects, and then also do things like character controls. So have a reference image, somebody doing reference face movements, and then having those applied to the reference image. This is also an example of first and last frame. So you have the first frame, which is a block of stone, the last frame, which is kind of a griffin that explodes out of the stone. And all of that, I just want to point out, is only VO2. So all of these capabilities and more possible within our latest released model, which is VO3. And VO3 gives you the ability to have all of these wonderful features, but also to incorporate background audio. It can be spoken word voices, it can be sound effects, it can be music, but many different things, many different things that you can do to kind of have VO3 associated. So let me go ahead and share at least a couple. You'll be able to see the videos, but probably not hear the audio. There's also very cute little llamas. Something that looks and sounds very reminiscent of before. This is another video that I'm not going to play, just because I don't think that it might not resonate as well if we don't have audio associated.
We actually do have audio. I was able to hear it on those other ones if you want to play.
Oh, amazing. Excellent. Yeah. Oh, phenomenal. Okay, cool. So we are definitely listening to this then. This was created by one of our partner teams in Paris who have, well, let's just watch it.
I can't believe this new VO model. It is amazing.
Ah, yeah, je comprends pas ce que vous dites parce que je suis français en fait.
Intelligence artificielle! Intelligence artificielle! Est-ce que j'ai une gueule d'intelligence artificielle?
C'était un bon modèle VO?
Vous savez, moi je ne crois pas qu'il y ait de bons ou de mauvais modèles de génération de vidéos.
Alors que penser jusqu'à présent de ce championnat des intelligences artificielles?
Je pense que la stratégie de l'entraîneur est bonne, tant sur le plan technique que tactique, mais l'important c'est les VO 3.0. Boss, les humains sont sur le point de créer l'AGI, doit-on les contacter?
Qu'est-ce qu'ils en font?
Ils génèrent des images de starter pack et font des montages vidéo stupides.
Ils ne sont pas encore prêts.
VO can make us sing anything.
So just like with Gemini, you can have VO generate videos with so many different languages, and the lip matching actually works really, really well for all of the scenes that get generated. I thought it would be fun to show kind of how these things have evolved so quickly using a prompt for one of the video generation models from 2023 and showing how it changes with things from like VO2, Walt, LTX video, and Kling. So you can see like the raccoon kind of dancing in slow motion in each one of these instances. That is an entirely too cool looking raccoon to be dancing so slowly. And then this is what it looks like with VO3. Which looks like it could be a stock character in a Marvel movie, just saying. Like there's also something that you can invoke behind the scenes called prompt rewriting, which takes those very, very simple prompts and kind of expands them out into being something pretty special and very, very detailed. So let's do prompt rewriting on that very simple prompt that we had and see how that changes the VO. That is a really, really realistic and very cute raccoon. So what can you do with this? This is an example of what it would take to recreate a commercial using music effects, Gemini 2.5 and VO3, as well as VO2 for this first instance. So to recreate this commercial, and we'll watch it just for a couple
Hey, my name's Paige, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is the crispiness of the breading and the tenderness of the filet. It's tasty, it's warm, it's total satisfaction.
And so even though this person is named Paige, that was not me. This was not an endorsement from Paige, though I do really appreciate Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches. So what I did was I tried to recreate this process using VO2. What you do is you give Gemini the original video, you ask for it to create a really detailed description step by step for each 8 seconds. You put all of these into VO2 to generate subsequent images. You use Gemini text-to-speech to create the dialogue. You use music effects to generate the prompts, and then you stitch it all together in Camtasia. So this entire process probably took about 30 minutes if you count all the time for video generations using VO2. So if we go to the next slide, this is what the final output looked.
Hey, my name's Paige, and what makes a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is the crispiness of the breading and the tenderness of the filet. It's tasty, it's warm, it's total satisfaction.
I actually like this one better than the original. I feel like the music is a lot smoother and calmer, though I did get flack from one of my team members because they told me that this was not Chick-fil-A breading on that chicken sandwich. It was Popeye's chicken breading. So glad we have some like chicken sandwich experts to keep us all honest. But if you want to do the same thing with VO3, this is the pipeline, which is much simplified. So you have the original video, you give it to Gemini 2.5, it generates the description, and then you give it to VO3 to create the final video. And this is the first example that I got. Let me show you what it looks like.
Hey, my name's Paige, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is the crispiness of the breading and the tenderness of the filet.
Which is very, very close to being, identical to that first 8 seconds of the video. So I guess the last thing that I would like to close on is, there's never been a better time to be a founder or a builder or a hackathon participant. You can go from 0 to a fully deployed app in just a matter of minutes or seconds. And this means that really there's no limit on your creativity other than just what you want to build, and how quickly you want to see it out into the world. These data that you have here on the left are kind of the number of solo founders, like single person companies that have been created since 2015. We're at an all-time high, and that number is only growing. And increasingly, we're seeing VCs invest in smaller and smaller teams that are able to accomplish an outsized amount of impact. So the companies that you might have heard about, the Cursors of the world, the Windsurfs, they all are extremely, extremely small teams just doing an outsized amount in terms of impact. And from a DevRel perspective, there's so much about DevRel that can be really, really reimagined and redefined just using these generative models and automated tools. And for that, I am going to share with you another VO example that I had created, which is a blonde woman kind of talking about function calling. Again, first example for this particular
function
prompt.
calling lets you connect models to external tools and APIs and understands when to call specific functions to execute real-world actions. Function calling.
And you could imagine this just being run as kind of like a continuous integration pipeline. So anytime you make a code change to your repo, the videos get automatically recreated, which is like personally just like ideal state for me, because it would mean that everybody is constantly getting the best and most robust educational content that they can. So with that, I am going to go ahead and say thank you so much. This has been super, super fun. Hopefully you learned something new, and your homework today is to go to ai.dev and to play around with all of these great models that we showed you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and my email address is webpage@google.com.
This was awesome, Paige. I haven't gotten to see some of this stuff, so I think it was pretty cool to see. One question I want to lead with here is, obviously AI is changing so fast. I think for a lot of people out in the world, it's still new. It's a completely different way of thinking about things. It's a completely different way of thinking about doing things. What advice would you give to these hackers about how they can start incorporating it and how they should be thinking about leveraging AI, because we're in a completely new world with it?
Yeah, so I really, that's an excellent question. I really feel like you should get into this sort of mindset of exploration and experimentation. Like if you encounter something that's hard, so like you're programming and you hit an error message, or you're trying to figure out what the architecture should be for a system that you're working on, or you're trying to even just try to figure out what kind of marketing copy you should have if you want to kind of to have the best product pitch for your hackathon project, or what is the best slides formatting. Ask all of that to the model. Like there's no such thing as a silly question, and the nice thing is that these models are kind of like constant curiosity satisfiers, right? Like you have the fastest path towards getting an answer or to getting feedback on whatever you're trying to do. And you have, it's not ever cheating if you're using these generative models and generative tools to help you with your hackathon projects. So definitely get into this habit of exploring. That's been the best possible thing for me, is to just push the limits, see what the model can do. And if somebody tells you that the model can't do it, don't take no for an answer. Like just prove to yourself that it can or it can't.
That's awesome advice. I have been playing around with it some. I wish I could when AI can extend the time of the day, we'll all finally have enough time to learn about all the things going on in there. What's your favorite feature that you've used so far? Obviously, you're so close to this. What's been the most game-changing thing that you use AI Studio for, or Gemini, or some of the other Google models for?
Yeah, I really love being able to translate code snippets from one language to another, to be able to kind of upgrade from one language to another. Another thing that has been I also love the VO models. Like that just feels honestly like magic, being able to play with those each day. One thing though that is hopefully not a plague that other folks have to deal with. But at work, there is often a need to create slides, and so I just pulled up my VS Code instance. Something that you can do is like if I go and I find a folder that it might not have. Oh, I need to open up one of my. Folders. This should work now. Pull up Klein. Add in that file, and then say, please create a smart style slide deck for all for the content in this PDF, and make sure to add emoji. Hit enter, close that out. And this invokes Gemini to kind of take in this PDF document, which is a PDF of an autonomous benchmark for a paper called A2Perf. It creates kind of a markdown file for it. So you can see here, hopefully off to the right, a whole bunch of different markdown code that's being created. I'm going to slide that over, and I'm going to open up the preview pane. And hopefully you see that off to the right, there was a preview of the slides for each one of these sections, as well as additional formatting for it, and making it fun, making it kind of cool. You can also ask for changes to the formatting, and it's just really, really nice and a time saver to do that, as opposed to having to think about creating a slide deck within some additional tool.
I'm going to have to try that out. Slides are a big part of my day oftentimes too, but I haven't gotten to use Klein or any of the other tools yet.
Root code would also work for that example. Like, all you have to do is like mention the PDF document, and then ask for Marpy slides to be created.
Awesome. Let's wrap up with one more question here. One of our hacker asks, what mindset should a researcher adopt when working in GenAI, especially with models like diffusion and multimodal architectures?
Yeah. So again, the concept of just asking the model, brainstorming with the model. Never underestimate how much you can kind of learn just by asking questions, and how much you can get inspired by telling the model to think out of the box, or to think in a creative way. I think the hope is for our Gemini teams that eventually the models will just be writing and creating themselves and finding their own like novel architectural changes. And we're getting pretty close. Like a big percentage of the code each day is generated by AI at Google. So that's something to think about. Is like, don't think that model building is immune from using a model to help accelerate the work.
Well, Paige, this was awesome. I really appreciate you coming to join us at your first ever Global Hack Week.
Yes,
hopefully we'll get to have you. Hopefully we're going to have you again in the future. And for the crowd out there, go play around with AI Studio. If we didn't get to answer your question, ask Gemini about it, or go put it in an AI Studio and see what sort of response you get back. If you're going to an MLH hackathon or other event, we also have a Gemini prize category there. So you can actually take all the stuff you learned here and put it into practice and build something with that at your next event. If you do have other questions, other things you didn't get to talk about, put them in the Discord too. Let's get a conversation going. But otherwise, big thank you to Paige for showing us all the amazing things that we can do in AI Studio. I'm sure if we did this again in a month, you might have a completely new presentation, actually.
Yep.
So we'll have to do it again.
Awesome. Excellent. It's so good to be here. Thank you so much for organizing, and I can't wait to see what everybody builds.
Awesome. Happy hacking, everyone.
Cool. Thank you.